Hi guys! Today I wanted to do a VR to Christine and Celeste's Tarot First and Always tag. I thought it would be a lot of fun to do this tag because it's kind of more of a shorter, quick kind of fun tag, which is a little bit easier to do than some of the bigger ones like the 31 Days of Tarot. It's quite the commitment to try and get those done, and I always have a very difficult time getting them actually completed. So this one I can do. So the very first question for this tag is talk about your first deck that you purchased, I guess, I'm assuming, or maybe that was gifted to you. So your first deck. Anyways, the very first deck I started working with was not my own deck. I was actually borrowing it, and it was the Mythic Tarot from my sister-in-law. So it was just kind of, it was her deck, and I was just kind of holding the cards and kind of going through the images and just seeing if it was something that I liked. And then I gave it back to her. So the very first deck I got and picked up for myself was actually Doreen Virtue's Angel Tarot. So this deck, I really fell in love with it. It took me a long time to kind of figure out what I really wanted, because I was, in a sense, I was a little bit afraid of tarot. You know, I didn't want anything too scary, and so because I was so new to this whole thing, this whole world of tarot, spirituality, you know, I had crazy things happen around me, and it was more on a fearful end rather than, you know, being more positive. I didn't really have people around me that were very spiritual. So yeah, for me, this was a nice transition into this whole world, this whole scope. And I like that the words were at the bottom to be able to help me, because I didn't know what the meanings were. I also just really love the images. Some of these images I wasn't a huge fan of because of the proportions, but for the most part, almost every card I really enjoyed and liked. I love how there's angels in it, but there's also, like you can see here, mermaids, there's fairies, you know, more of the elementals. It's not just angels, which is really nice, but I did like the fact that there are these archangels at the top, especially with a major arcana. I'm not sure about the minor, but the major arcana has that. And then you can kind of look forward more or delve into that archangel and find out more about it. You know, how they're working with you, I guess, and their archetypes or properties behind them, you know, the energies of that angel, what their speciality is. I also really actually like the different colored borders to be able to distinguish between the different suits with the different elements in the tarot. So like as a beginner deck, this is just a really, really great friendly deck. And so this was mine, and I really liked it, and I actually used it for probably a good year, maybe longer than that, before I actually bought another one. After this one, it actually was the Llewellyn, and then Shadowscapes right after that. But this was my beginner tarot. And I just loved how, like, the magical creatures, like you can just see unicorns, and the way the artist is a really great artist. Yeah, I just love it. So, but now I actually don't use it too much, not unless someone specifically asks for angel card readings. This is the one I use because I'm familiar with it, but yeah, or if I'm needing a reading for myself that I don't want my own kind of biases, my own ego to get in, so then I literally will use these words as my reading, you know, or I just buy my own reading from someone else. So that's my very first deck, and it was a good one. It's a little bit beefier in size, so that was one drawback from it, but the cardstock does bend, so it doesn't keep you from being able to shuffle it. It still shuffles nice. And it's pretty. Okay, so talk about the last deck that arrived in your collection. For me, it's actually the 78 Tarot Nautical version, and mine is trimmed, so it's not as big as when you purchase it. I took off all the borders in the very bottom part. I found it was just too big for my hands, so And I really wanted to just get a nice, meaty, juicy shuffle in. Because, I don't know, there's something about that, you know, to break it in. And it softens over time when you do that too. I really like that. So for me, I really like to work my decks. Work it? Yeah. Yeah, I haven't spent too much time with this just yet. I still need to put that time in. I do readings for myself with this deck right now, just so I'm having that practice time. But right now, I don't feel comfortable reading with clients with this deck just yet, because I haven't really spent that time with each card and really finding my own meanings with the cards. Because some of the cards, they don't really work like... I'm very familiar with the Rider-Waite system, so some of the cards don't really match those kind of meanings, so it's kind of where you almost have to go maybe a little more intuitively with the card, the image, because I'm such a visual person, so spending that time with each image is really important for me, and getting a really sense of and feeling of that energy behind the card. That way when it comes up, I know it, I'm familiar with it, but it's not where I'm just regurgitating, it's just where I feel comfortable enough that I can be open with the reading. So everything else kind of flows nicely. But it's a really beautiful deck. I love the artwork. I love how all the artwork is different. That doesn't bother me at all. I really love that part of this deck. And it's going to be a great deck for using for the summer, which is one of the reasons why I purchased it, because I really wanted more of a summer kind of nautical themed deck for enjoying this season. Yeah, so that's that one. Okay, so the next question is talk about the deck you always reach for. For me, the longest time I was using the Druid Craft, but now I've really found that I just need that breath of fresh air, so to speak, in a deck. So what I've really switched to for the past couple months now is actually the Tarot Mucha. Or Mucha, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but I say Mucha. Yeah, and it's just a beautiful deck. It's really nice and light, the color palette. It's friendly, it's happy. I really enjoy it. So, and it reads really, really great. So this is actually the deck I've been pulling for the past couple months now. Just some stunning art. Everything pops really nicely. I don't mind the borders at all. I actually really kind of like them. Some decks you don't like the borders, and other decks you're like, ah, so nice. So for me, you know, I would never trim this one. And it's a perfect size. It really is. Perfect size for my hand. It shuffles just so nice. It's very buttery. And it's smooth too, so you're not going to have any of that problem with the you know, the cards really sticking, because one side's actually kind of scratchy and the other side is smooth, which is really awesome. And I don't see that too often on decks, actually. So I really appreciated that, because after a while with some decks, they really do kind of stick, and maybe it's because of the oils on your hand. They become more sticky, but this one I can't see that really happening because of the way the cardstock was made. And it's a really nice cardstock too. It's similar to Llewellyn cardstock, I think, but maybe just a tad thicker. It's just beautiful. I love it. I was trying to think of who actually... the company. Oh, it's a Lo Scarabeo. So, oh, there you go. So this is very heavily Rider-Waite based. It's if you know that system, you can jump into it really quickly. And I find actually, like, if you even look at the characters, you know, with the page, this is the Page of Swords, you really get a sense of that character, you know, you do get the birds, you know, kind of flying, so it's very Rider-Waite. There's a lot here, but I find with the faces, you get a lot of personality in the images, versus the Rider-Waite. I find there isn't as much personality that comes through in the court cards. They're so blank faced, but I find with this it's a lot more expressive with this deck. So, and it has that romantic feel as well, so it definitely does well with relationship readings. But I find it just, the energy overall is just nice and light, it's bright, and that for me, you know, I like feeling lifted up, feeling that light energy when I'm working with the deck, even when it's something shadowy that we're looking at, you know, having that upliftment feel is really important. And I want my clients to feel that as well. You know, I don't want them feeling worse than before they came, you know. So it's important for, you know, to have still a high vibe kind of reading. Not that I choose only high vibe decks. You know, it really, I tailor my decks to the type of person for the most part. But some people, you know, you almost need that little extra boost of light energy, so just to help. And even for me as a reader. So that is the Tarot Mucha. Yeah, so thank you, Christine and Celeste. I think it's Celeste. For doing this tarot tag. I will link her video on the bottom below so you guys can check out the original tarot tag. And you guys all take care, and we'll see you later. Okay, bye-bye.